Affection is one of the gentlest, most nurturing emotions. Expressing affection strengthens bonds and creates safety.
Beautifully said. And loving goes deeper, profound care, deep attachment and concern for someone's well-being. Love is complex, but the feeling of loving someone is expansive and generous.
Love transforms both the lover and the beloved. Now, resentful, we touched on earlier, that's bitter indignation at being treated unfairly. Resentment corrodes joy.
Yes, someone wise said that resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It hurts the person holding it most.
Profound truth. Now, defensive, we mentioned, that's self-protective in response to perceived criticism. When you feel defensive, you're guarding against attack, real or imagined.
Defensiveness blocks communication. I've learned that when I notice I'm feeling defensive, it's time to get curious instead. Why does this touch a nerve?
That's emotional maturity right there. And triumphant is the feeling of great victory or success. I felt triumphant after finally mastering that skill. It's joy in achievement.
Triumph has this quality of overcoming. You didn't just succeed, you prevailed against odds.
Yes. Now, defeated is the opposite, feeling you've lost, failed, been overcome. Defeat is heavy, demoralizing.
But here's something important. Feeling defeated and being defeated aren't the same thing. The feeling is temporary. You can choose to rise again.
Powerful reframe. And discouraged is similar, loss of confidence or enthusiasm. Something has dimmed your hope or motivation.
Discouragement is natural when facing setbacks. The key is not staying stuck there. Now, encouraged is the opposite. You've been given hope, confidence, or support. I feel encouraged by the progress I'm seeing.
Encouragement is a gift we can give others and ourselves. It's actively noticing and acknowledging the positive.
Now, let's talk about exhilarated, thrilling excitement, invigorating joy. I felt exhilarated after skydiving. Your whole being feels electrified.
Exhilaration is intense aliveness, and enthusiastic is eager enjoyment, intense positive feeling about something. I'm enthusiastic about this new direction.
Enthusiasm is magnetic. It draws people and opportunities towards you. Now, apathetic is the absence of feeling, not caring, lacking interest or concern. Apathy is emotional numbness.
Apathy is concerning because it's disconnection from what matters. Often, apathy is actually depression or burnout in disguise.
Important insight. And dismayed is being upset by something unexpected and troubling. I was dismayed to learn about the setback. It's disappointed concern.
Now, elated, we touched on, overwhelming happiness, intense joy. I'm elated about the news. Your heart feels like it might burst with happiness.
And ecstatic takes it even further. Overwhelming joy, rapture, being beside yourself with happiness. Ecstasy is joy at its peak.
Yes. Now, melancholy, we mentioned, pensive sadness, gentle, reflective gloom. There's something almost beautiful about melancholy.
It's the artist's emotion, isn't it? Melancholy has depth and texture, and gloomy is similar but heavier. Darkness of mood, pessimistic sadness.
Yes, gloom is oppressive, while melancholy can actually be oddly pleasant. Now, indignant we covered, and outraged is extreme indignation, furious at injustice.
Outrage mobilizes action. Many social movements begin with collective outrage at unacceptable conditions.
True. And horrified is shocked disgust or fear. I'm horrified by what I'm hearing. It's revulsion mixed with disbelief.
Now, let's talk about remorseful, deep regret for wrongdoing. Remorse involves genuine sorrow about your actions and desire to make amends.
Remorse is different from guilt. It's guilt plus deep emotional pain about the harm caused. Remorse motivates real change.
Yes, and regretful is similar, but perhaps less intense, wishing you'd acted differently. I'm regretful about how I handled that situation.
And shapish is embarrassed about having done something foolish or wrong. There's a self-conscious, slightly ashamed quality to feeling shapish.
Now, vindicated is feeling proven right after being doubted. I felt vindicated when the evidence supported my position. It's satisfaction in being justified.
And smug is excessive satisfaction with yourself, often annoying to others. Smugness is self-satisfaction without humility.
Yes, nobody likes smugness. Now, humbled is being made to feel less important or proud, often in a good way. I'm humbled by this honor. It's grateful awareness of your limitations or the kindness of others.
Humility is beautiful, and honored is feeling privileged and grateful for recognition or opportunity. I'm honored to be here.
Now, let me ask you something. After exploring all these emotions, and we've covered so many, what do you notice?
You know what strikes me? How interconnected everything is. Emotions don't exist in isolation. They flow into each other, transform into each other. Joy can become contentment, can become boredom, can become restlessness, can become anxiety, all in one afternoon.
Exactly, and having words for each stage of that journey gives you power. You're not just feeling vaguely bad. You can say, I'm restless because I haven't been challenged lately, and that restlessness is starting to make me anxious. That clarity allows you to address the root cause.
That's profound. Language doesn't just describe our emotional experience, it actually shapes it. The words we have available to us influence what we notice and how we respond.
Absolutely. And here's another thing I've noticed. Emotions aren't good or bad. They're information. Even uncomfortable emotions like anxiety or anger or sadness are trying to tell us something valuable.
Yes, anxiety might be saying, this situation needs preparation. Anger might be saying, a boundary has been crossed. Sadness might be saying, you've lost something that mattered. Take time to grieve.
When we can name emotions accurately, we can listen to what they're trying to tell us instead of just trying to make them go away.
And in English, this vocabulary is especially important because emotional intelligence is highly valued in professional and personal contexts. Being able to articulate how you feel is seen as maturity and self-awareness.
So true. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the workload and need to discuss priorities is so much more effective than I'm stressed or just struggling silently.
Exactly. Now, I want to give our listeners some practical advice for using all this vocabulary. First, start small. You don't need to memorize all these words at once.
Right. Pick 3 or 4 new emotion words each week. Notice when you feel those emotions. Practice naming them. Ah, this is frustration, or this feeling is disappointment.
Yes, and second, get curious about your emotional experience. Instead of just, I feel bad, ask yourself, what kind of bad? Sad? Angry? Anxious? Disappointed? Dig deeper.
And third, practice expressing emotions in complete sentences. Not just, I'm angry, but I feel angry because situation, and what I need is action.
Beautiful framework. And fourth, remember that it's okay to feel multiple emotions simultaneously. I'm excited, but also nervous. Or I'm happy for her success, but also a bit envious.
Yes, emotional complexity is normal and human. You don't have to choose just one feeling.
Now, let's talk about some emotional phrases that are particularly useful in conversation. I'm feeling a bit is a gentle way to introduce your emotional state.
Right, like, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, or I'm feeling a bit uncertain about this decision.
And that makes me feel is great for expressing emotional reactions to specific situations. When you said that, it made me feel hurt, or that news makes me feel hopeful.
Another useful pattern is, I've been feeling for ongoing emotional states. I've been feeling really grateful lately, or I've been feeling quite anxious about the changes.
Yes, and asking about emotions, how are you feeling about, is much more specific than just, how are you?
Right. How are you feeling about starting your new job? Invites a real, specific response rather than just, fine, thanks.
And when someone shares an emotion with you, validation is powerful. That makes sense that you'd feel that way. Or, I can understand feeling frustrated in that situation.
Yes, validation doesn't mean you agree with their perspective, it just acknowledges that their feeling is valid and understandable.
Now, I want to address something important. Some cultures are more emotionally expressive than others. In English-speaking contexts, there's generally an expectation of being able to discuss emotions, at least in personal relationships.
That's true, but there's also a balance. You don't need to broadcast every feeling to everyone. Emotional intelligence includes knowing what to share, when, and with whom.
Exactly. Professional contexts might call for more measured emotional expression. I'm concerned about the timeline, rather than I'm panicking about the deadline.
But close relationships thrive on emotional honesty. Being able to say, I feel hurt when, or I'm so happy that, strengthens bonds.
Now, let's do something interactive. I'll describe a scenario, and let's explore what emotions might be present. Ready?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, imagine you've been working on an important project for months. You finally present it to your team, and they're quiet for a moment before offering thoughtful, constructive feedback. What might you be feeling?
Oh, what a rich scenario. Initially, probably anxious or nervous as you present, the vulnerability of showing your work. Then during the silence, maybe apprehensive, worried, perhaps even a bit panicked, thinking it's being poorly received.
Yes. And then?
When the feedback comes and it's constructive, probably relieved that it's not harsh criticism. Maybe also proud that your work merits thoughtful discussion. Maybe possibly grateful for colleagues who engage seriously with your ideas.
Beautiful analysis. But you might also feel slightly disappointed if you'd hoped for more enthusiasm, right? Or even a bit defensive if the feedback touches areas you're uncertain about.
Absolutely. Multiple emotions coexisting, and underneath it all may be satisfied that you completed something significant regardless of the response.
Perfect example of emotional complexity. Real life rarely gives us single, simple emotions. Now, let's try another. You're at a friend's wedding, and during the vows, you unexpectedly start crying. What's happening emotionally?
Oh, this is beautiful. Probably moved by the beauty and sincerity of the moment, perhaps joyful for your friend's happiness, possibly nostalgic if you're remembering your own wedding experiences or relationship experiences.
Yes, and maybe also tender or touched by the vulnerability of public declarations of love, perhaps even a bit melancholy if you're single and longing for partnership.
Or grateful for witnessing love, for being included in this important moment, maybe hopeful about love's endurance. So many layers.
Exactly. Weddings are emotional multivitamins. They contain almost every feeling. Now, one more scenario. You receive unexpected criticism from someone you respect. Go.
Ooh, tough one. Initially shocked or surprised, you weren't expecting it. Probably hurt that someone you respect is criticizing you.
Yes. What else?
Maybe defensive, wanting to explain or justify yourself. Perhaps embarrassed if others overheard. Possibly confused if the criticism seems unfair or unclear.
And might you also feel respect for the person being honest with you, even though it's uncomfortable?
Absolutely, and maybe anxious about what this means for your relationship or your standing. Perhaps even grateful later for feedback that might help you grow, though that might take some time to feel.
Yes, emotions evolve. What you feel initially often shifts as you process. You might feel hurt and defensive in the moment, but later feel grateful and motivated to improve.
Such an important point. Emotions are dynamic, not static. They move, transform, deepen, or dissolve.
Now, let's talk about emotional vocabulary in different contexts. In professional emails or conversations, you might say, I'm concerned about, rather than I'm worried. Why?
Concerned sounds more measured, more professional. It suggests you're thinking critically about an issue rather than having an anxiety response.
Exactly. Similarly, I'm disappointed with the outcome sounds more professional than I'm sad about what happened.
Right, both are true, but disappointed focuses on the gap between expectation and reality, while sad is more purely emotional.
But in personal relationships, though, I feel sad might actually be more connecting because it's more vulnerable and authentic.
Yes, context shapes emotional language. I'm frustrated with a romantic partner might be appropriate, while I'm dissatisfied with this aspect of our relationship might sound too corporate.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the beautiful phenomenon of emotional contagion. Have you noticed that emotions spread between people?
Oh, absolutely. When I'm around someone anxious, I often start feeling anxious too, even if I have nothing to be anxious about.
Yes, and joyful people tend to lift the mood of those around them. Emotional states are contagious, which is why emotional vocabulary matters. You're not just describing your internal experience, you're potentially influencing the emotional atmosphere.
That's profound. So when I say I'm feeling energized and hopeful about this project, I might actually help others feel that way too.
Exactly. Leadership is often emotional leadership, setting an emotional tone that serves the situation.
Now, I want to ask you something personal. What emotion do you find hardest to express in any language?
Oh, what a thoughtful question. I think vulnerability, that feeling of being exposed, uncertain, needing help. It activates something that makes me want to retreat into self-sufficiency. What about you?
For me, it's disappointment. I don't like feeling disappointed, and I especially don't like expressing it because I worry it will disappoint others. There's this tangled dynamic where I'd rather pretend everything is fine.
That's so honest and probably very relatable to many people. We're taught that some emotions are more acceptable than others, so we suppress or disguise the difficult ones.
Yes, boys are often taught that sadness or fear are unacceptable, while anger is okay. Girls are often taught the reverse. Anger is unladylike, but sadness is acceptable.
These cultural scripts limit our emotional range and authenticity. Part of emotional maturity is reclaiming the full spectrum of human feeling.
Beautifully said, and language is part of that reclaiming. When we can name what we actually feel, we resist those limiting scripts.
Yes. Now, as we wind down this conversation, I want to acknowledge that we've covered an enormous amount of emotional territory today.
We really have. From happy to devastated, from curious to apathetic, from proud to ashamed, we've explored the full landscape of human emotion.
And the beautiful thing is, all of these emotions are part of being human. None of them are wrong or bad, though some are more comfortable than others.
Exactly. The goal isn't to feel only positive emotions. The goal is to feel your actual emotions, understand them, and express them clearly when appropriate.
And to respond to others' emotions with empathy and wisdom. When someone says, "I'm feeling overwhelmed," you now understand that's different from "I'm feeling stressed" or "I'm feeling busy."
Right. Overwhelmed needs a different response, perhaps helping them prioritize or taking something off their plate, not just sympathy.
Yes, precise emotional language leads to more effective support and connection. Now, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge. For the mixed week, try to name 3 emotions you feel each day, not just good or bad, but specific words like we've practiced today. I love that challenge. And notice, when you name emotions accurately, does it change your experience of them? Does it give you more agency, more choice in how you respond?
That's the real test. My hypothesis is that it will. Naming creates a little bit of distance, a little bit of space between the feeling and your identity.
Yes, I am angry versus I feel angry. There's a subtle but important difference. One defines you, the other describes a temporary state you're experiencing.
Exactly. You're not your emotions. You're the person experiencing emotions. That distinction is liberation.
So true. Now, I'm curious, after this long, rich conversation, how are you feeling right now, in this moment?
I feel fulfilled, like we've created something meaningful together. I feel connected to you, to the ideas we've explored, to the people who might be listening. I feel grateful for the time and attention this conversation required. And I feel calm, like there's a settled quality now that we've thoroughly explored this territory. How about you?
I feel similarly fulfilled and grateful. I also feel inspired. Revisiting all these emotions reminds me how rich and complex human experience is. I feel appreciation for language itself, for the way it allows us to capture and share these invisible internal experiences. And I feel hopeful that whoever engages with this conversation will find new ways to understand and express their emotional lives.
That's beautiful. And that right there, what we just did, that's the power of emotional literacy. We didn't just say, I feel good. We painted a detailed, nuanced picture of our internal landscapes.
And in doing so, we've created connection and understanding. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. So to everyone who's been following along on this journey through emotions, thank you. Thank you for your time, your attention, your willingness to explore this essential aspect of human communication.
We hope you feel more equipped now to express the full range of your emotional experience in English. Remember, emotions aren't problems to solve, they're information to understand and share.
Keep practicing, keep noticing, keep naming what you feel. Emotional fluency is a lifelong journey, and you're well on your way.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Feel deeply, speak clearly, and live authentically.
Goodbye for now.